boys and girls and non-binary children of all ages, welcome to Guitar Nuts Anonymous. I'm your host, Steve, and we're here in the Room of Doom. And what I wanted to focus on today is my current rig, and I say current because it's been an ongoing, ever-evolving, ever-shifting kind of a thing. I do indeed finally have a wonderful guitar tone that I'm really digging. It took a lot of doing to get there, which I'll show you in pornographic detail shortly. I'm going to do this intro like this and then move the camera so that it's facing down at the pedal board, and we're going to talk about what's going on. We're going to listen to some sound samples. Now in the meanwhile, just wanted to mention thanks to everyone who's liked and subscribed and watched the recent videos. The Firefly James Hetfield Flying V episode has garnered over 3,000 views, which is cool. The Suns pedal, nearly 1,000. The Behringer Fuzzbender, 1,100. So I mean, it's some really nice numbers. I really appreciate it. And obviously I'm hitting a nerve with somebody, so that's good. So what I was trying to do here with my tone is I want to have a distinctive tone. I still want it to be firmly within the boundaries of Doom, although listening to all the different subgenres, I hear that there really is no definitive Doom tone per se. I mean, yes, the sound of a blown out amp is definitely in there, and I've got some of that, but I wanted a little more than just that. And to that end, I've paired the ubiquitous amp of Doom here, my early 70s custom Hustler 410, with this lovely little Roland JC40. And you might be saying, well, that's only 40 watts. As you're going to see, this is just kind of the icing on the cake, or even the cherry on top. It's going to be my secret sauce. And it also fulfills a secondary function, which I'll show you shortly. So what I really wanted was a good, solid Doom tone where I could go to the neck pickup of whatever I happen to be playing and just get that crushing, blown-out Doom tone, and then switch over to the bridge pickup and get more of a biting tone, which is what you'd expect from bridge pickup, and then have a few surprises on board as well. And that's what I think I've accomplished, and I'm really enjoying this tone. The new band, codenamed Curtis, is finally going to be getting together for the first time here very soon. I've done 6 song demos for new songs for the band and sent them out. Well, I posted them onto a Dropbox and shared them with the other members. And hopefully they're all learning their parts, or writing their parts. I specifically made the songs a little ambiguous so that they could put their own stamp on them. For the most part, I left the bass parts out, except for the one song that was written on the bass. And while I didn't use a static drum beat on a drum machine, I did actually do some programming because I want the parts to have different drum parts that follow. It's wide open for the drummer to interpret, and likewise the bass player, so they can write their own parts. And the demos are all only like 4 minutes long. The songs will probably be twice that long once we get going with them. Stretch out on some riffs, maybe some solos, get some groove going. So anyway, enough of me yakking. Again, as I always say, if you have anything to bring up, any suggestions, something you want to see me do, whatever it might be, leave a comment down below. And if you haven't already, let me know where it is you are geographically speaking, because I'd kind of like to get a handle on, what my demographic is. I do know from the YouTube algorithms that I seem to have at age 45 to 55 seems to be the biggest group, which I guess makes sense since that's kind of where I fall. But this is a show for all ages except children, because, who needs that? I don't want to have to watch my P's and Q's, and you know what I'm talking about, right? Damn it. So yeah, leave a comment below. Tell me where you're watching from. After you hear and see the rig, Tell me what you thought of it. Tell me your feelings about it. I just want to know what you have to say, because I need new material for new content, and there's no better content than that of a subject that's suggested by you. So by all means, suggest away. Alrighty? Alright, with that, I'm going to let you be. I'm going to strap on this Les Paul, move the camera, and we're going to find out what this setup is all about, shall we? Let's. Here we go. Alright, so we're back. You'll have to take my word for it that I'm here, because you're only going to hear my voice and see my lovely designer socked foot. Alright, so here's the board. And the first thing you're likely to notice is I've got a couple of utility pedals on here. Here's a Lely Little Dual, which allows me to use 2 amps at once without phasing or ground issues. I can have either channel or both channels. I'll be using both. But for right now, I just want you to hear that side. The red side is the amp of doom. This is my tri-parallel mixer from Electro Harmonics. What this guy does is allows me to have 3 different drive pedals that aren't feeding into one another, making mush, but rather running in parallel, so each is its own separate signal, that are then blended and come out here. I can adjust the amount of send and return, since I've got the volumes on all 3 of these maxed, because they seem to sound best that way. These also have phase in case you have a pedal that's out of phase, which happens. They've got their own dedicated EQ. There's a master volume and even a dry volume if I wanted to add in the dry tone of the amp, which I don't really use, but it's possible. So, basically, my core tone is going to be centered around this Sun's pedal, which sounds like this. That's a bridge pickup, neck pickup. There's the tone I was looking for. Neck pickup. Okay, now I'm going to add in the rat, and it's going to give me some sizzle and top end bite. And again, I can adjust how much of each of these pedals goes into this mix. And then finally, my beloved new Rowan Frenzy, this little bastard. If you haven't already seen the review, don't watch it if you don't want to spend $16 or $20 or whatever it's going to cost you. You watch it, you're going to wind up buying one. I predict. I think I probably sold a lot of these things. But anyway, here's what it sounds like when I blend that in. Now it just adds a little bit of extra grit. Let me turn the other 2 off. Here's what the Rowan sounds like by itself. That's the big forever sustain and exploding amp sound. Now bring the other amps back in. Now, that is my sound right there. That's what I was after. And of course, got to have a little bit of effect for when they come up necessary. This Levitate handles both my reverb, which I seldom use, and my delay chores. Here's the delay. And the reverb. It's not very much of it. That's the way I like it, though. Of course, I can use them together. So there's my effects. Now, you'll notice at the end of the chain I have a tuner, which is my mute. Only works for the amp of doom, of course, but I can use the switch pedal over here to go between the amps, so I can get them both off if I need to. Okay, now, this Boss EQ, it's a bit overkill for my needs, if I'm honest. It has 8 presets, I'm using 1, and all I'm really doing is adding a little bit of mid-range boost and a volume boost, and it's off most of the time. It's just there if I need a little extra kick. Otherwise, I leave it off. Now, before I mention this little beauty right here, it's Electro Harmonix B9, I first want to talk about the second amp, which you saw earlier, the Roland Jazz Chorus. Now, I've got the Roland Jazz Chorus set up to where the distortion's all the way up on it, which I know is a brave move to make because most people hate the distortion on a Roland Jazz Chorus. For my purposes, it works great. I've got the treble dialed down a little bit, mid and bass at noon, just a touch of reverb on that amp because it seems to like not being totally dry. And I do have the chorus on. And the bright switch is on because the bright switch seems to affect higher frequencies than the treble knob does. It's more of a presence thing. By itself, it wouldn't be the most beautiful thing. Here's what it sounds like by itself. You can hear it's quite harsh, kind of shrill. Like I said, by itself, it would be unusable. But here's what I do. I have them both on. I get the amp of doom going, and I bring in the Roland just to the point where it's just audible. Okay? I'm going to do that right now. You have to take my word for it since you can't see. All of a sudden, I've got a ton of presence I didn't have before. And as I said, it's just kind of the icing on top. I can adjust how much of it I want, and it's just there when I need it. And when I don't, it's gone. And the neat thing is, it kind of stays in the background of the mix until I get up to the higher registers on the guitar. Let me demonstrate here. Now, there it is low, you don't hear a whole lot of it. Now when I get up top, suddenly it comes jumping out. It just comes jumping out of the mix, almost like a high octave fuzz does when you decide to play past the 12th fret. Suddenly you hear the high octave note. So yeah, very much the Roland is just a reinforcement amp. Just adds a little something to the sound in a fun way. Just a good way. And at 40 watts, it's plenty enough for me to use on stage with the amp of doom because I won't be using very much of it anyway. But I'm loving this tone. Loving it. Now, onward to the B9 pedal here. This is something I've had in mind for a long time. And you'll also notice this little fender foot switch over here, which unfortunately works great for turning the distortion on and off on the Jazz Chorus, but it's not wired to to give me a light to let me know that it's on or off, so I've just got to kind of remember. What the idea here is, I want to be able to turn off the distortion, which if I did would sound like this, and be able to kick on this B9 pedal, which is going to give me organ sounds. Which is cool as heck, but unfortunately doesn't really do the business when the distortion's on. You can hear it a bit, but it just kind of buries it. So, got to switch to clean for that. Now at some point in time, I'm not sure how I'm going to do it because there's no real estate left on this board. I would like to get an overdrive pedal to follow the B9 so I can get a nice dirty John Lord thing and I can be 50% of Deep Purple by myself. But the idea is get my lovely chord tone, add in the sound of this organ. I think that is the coolest, doomiest thing I've heard in a long time, and it's something that I've never heard anybody else using, not in this application. So it's there, and that's just coming out of the Roland Jazz Chorus. And when I don't want it on, I kick it off, kick the distortion back on the Jazz Chorus, and I'm back to my lovely chord tone. I couldn't be happier with this tone. I genuinely say that. I know I keep switching things up, but I really think I've found it. I think this is where I want to be. So again, for those of you that missed it, or weren't paying attention, this is literally 3 separate drives that are all running in parallel together. Oh, and in case you wonder what this is about, this little guy over here is a pitch pedal that I can use to do harmonies. Of course, they're parallel harmonies, so they can sound a little odd. But I've got it set just as an octaver at the moment, so I can do this. So that's one more thing I can add into the stew. So there you go. This is my setup. I'm loving it. I cannot wait to start rehearsing with the band. And of course, following that, I can't wait for us to start performing. And yes, I'm really going to drag all this stuff to the gig. The Amp of Doom is going to leave the house. Jazz Chorus is going to go with it. And I just can't wait. I can't tell you how excited I am. And I'm loving this tone. And by all means, give me your impressions, your thoughts, what you think of the sound, what you think I could possibly do differently, or I don't know. Just tell me what you think. I'm curious. So I'm going to do a little outro here in a moment, but for now, I'm going to shut the camera off, and I'll be back. If you haven't experienced this 9 series of Electro-Harmonix pedals, do yourself a favor. A lot of fun. Even if you don't find a practical use for them, they're still a hell of a lot of fun to play with. I've had the Synth 9 pedal, which I actually used in Ray Gun a good bit for some synthesizer parts. The Mel 9 pedal, which is a Mellotron thing, which I got to do cello sounds. Wasn't entirely convincing, but it was very cool. And then now this B9 organ pedal, which has, well, they all have 9 different sounds in them. Just a hell of a lot of fun. That's neither here nor there. So there's our rig, my rig. And oh, by the way, in the future, I might tell you about this rig right here. This is my backup that I've recently put together from some stuff I had in my cellar. That's a different story. Maybe I'll talk about this later too. This is the Doom backer over here. Probably the only 1967 Rickenbacker that's ever been subjected to a C-sharp tuning. Long story. But anyway, there you go. There's my rig. And I honestly think it's done evolving. I think it's where it needs to be. There's no room for anything else. There's nothing I really would want to change out. I'm loving my core tone. I'm loving the sound of adding in the Roland a little bit there, and the flexibility to put in the organ tones when I need them or want them. Just something cool to add on. And yeah, can't wait to get to playing. So, comment below. Tell me anything you want to talk about. Anything at all. What do you want me to focus on in the future? What would you like to see me demonstrate? Or would you like me to take a field trip and bring the camera along with me? You guys can come with me like I did when I went to Prague. I could make a visit to Carter's Vintage Guitars or Groon's. Maybe I'll get crazy and buy one of those $300 pairs of glasses with the built-in camera. What are they called? I don't know. You probably... Meta. I think... Is it Meta? Hell if I know. Then I can, walk around and people won't even know that I'm filming and getting video and audio. Who knows? Do all sorts of strange illicit things with those, I suppose. Never mind. Anyway, comment below. Tell me where you're from, what you're into, what's your bag, baby. And that's about it. Till I see you next. Stay cool, stay frosty. Be good to yourself and others. Take any wooden nickels unless you collect them. And by all means, any means possible, whatever it takes, pick up and play your damn guitar. See you soon. Steve out.